Well, welcome to our module. I'm gonna go ahead and get it. As I get started, I realize people still might be coming in, but I just want to make sure to respect everyone's time as we get started. I just want to do a quick sound check. Can everybody hear me okay? And can everybody see the PowerPoint?
I can. This is Wanda.
I can see everything and hear you fine.
I can see and hear everything.
Perfect. Not just for not
That was Amy Johnson, but you're breaking up really bad.
live. We short long.
Hello. Hey, Michael, Mr. Hager. The, you're breaking up really bad. We can barely hear anything that you're saying.
I am hockey. Go over model 4. Can you guys not hear me? I hear that from one person. Just want to make sure that everybody could, if that's everybody or if that's just Amy.
That's myself. That's Wanda. I can barely hear you. I can hear you now and see the PowerPoint. This is Wanda Richardson.
Thank you, Wanda. Okay, so I'm going to keep continuing. Um, and if we're having more technical difficulties, uh, really don't know what to say. I feel like I have internet and I have the connection correctly. Um, Try logging back off and on. I am in a different place this time instead of in the comfort of my own home. I'm actually at my work office, so I don't know if that um, might be some of the issue. But I do have connection, so hopefully you guys can hear me. I will also bring the uh, computer closer to myself so you guys can hear, hopefully. All right. So as I was continuing on, we will have we'll go over the module 4 assignment for this week, and then we will have questions and answers. So now I just want to, I know it really seems redundant every week, but as we have different students join in the live session each week, it is nice to have a short introduction to get to know each other. I would like to ask you each to share your name, where you live, how many states you have visited, and what was your favorite state and why. I could start. So, as you all know, I'm Mike Hager. I live in northern Minnesota. I have only actually visited 15 states. I think my wife has actually visited like 30 or something crazy like that. I do plan on visiting all 50 with my wife at some point. But my favorite state would probably have to be California. I love the beach, as you can see in the background, and I really can't wait till COVID is over so I can go back and actually enjoy some time there. Um, so I would like to invite you guys. What's your favorite state? Or how many states have you visited, and what was your favorite one and why?
I can go first if you want. Um, I'm Tiffany Lance. I live in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. I am a pre-K teacher and curriculum coordinator for a school here. And I have visited probably about 10 states. I was a military wife for a long time, so we kind of bounced around a little bit with that. And I would say of the states that I've visited, um, I think it's kind of a tie, unfortunately. I don't think I could choose really between Colorado and Alaska. Just have magnificent scenery, beautiful nature everywhere. You know, I'm kind of an outdoorsy person. Both states, everybody does everything outside. I think Alaska's a really cool state to say you've lived in. I lived there for 3 years, and I lived in Colorado for 3 years. I've been back to visit both. I don't know. I have a hard time choosing a favorite. Maybe Colorado because the weather's nicer there more.
Yeah, I just got back about 4 months ago from living in Colorado for 12 years, and the climate is amazing out there,
Right?
even in the winter.
Yeah, I mean, whereas Alaska, it's a beautiful, an amazing opportunity to live there, and it's beautiful there, and there's just so many amazing things to say about it. But the weather's brutal in the winter, so I don't know. I guess I'd have to, if I had to choose, it'd be Colorado, but Alaska's a close second.
Thank you for sharing.
I can go next. This is Amy Johnson. I am a Head Start teacher here at the local Head Start here in Claremont, in Florida. Um, I'm not really. I haven't really traveled a whole lot. I think the most was maybe, or is maybe 3 states. That's pretty much Detroit, South Carolina, Georgia. But I really would love to travel to Tennessee. For some reason, I just really want to travel there and look at and rent a cabin. But it would have to be in the summer. I'm not
What
really
was your favorite
one
one?
for the cold. I am a true Floridian.
What was your favorite?
Oh, I don't like cold. And that's it.
Amy, I'm having a hard time trying to hear you.
Uh-oh, I'm sorry.
I wonder if it's me or if I wonder,
It,
can you guys hear me okay?
I can hear you. I don't know if it's my connection. I don't know. I feel like every week I have this problem.
I can hear you fine.
Oh,
I can hear both of you fine. You, Amy, and you, Michael.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So got more confirmation too. All right.
Okay, I guess I'll go next. My name is Wanda Richardson. I am the Assistant Director of a Child Care Center in Tampa, Florida. I was born and raised in Ocala. We have had so many family reunions, and they travel around the world, like from Florida to Washington, New York, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island. So I've been around a lot. But I have to say, my most favorite place that I like to be is Florida. Born and raised in Florida. I mean, I was actually born in Michigan, but as an infant, I was brought back to Florida, so I'm still a Floridian. I just cannot do the cold. Right now, we had 42 degrees weather here for the last couple of days, and I thought it was the worst thing in the world. So am a true Floridian, but
And I
I would say,
agree.
yes, I would say Washington was one of my most favorite states. I just love the look, the beautiful, the way the leaves fall. So I would say Washington is my most favorite state. Don't beat Florida.
I hear a little bias in there.
Yeah,
Well,
you're
thanks for
right.
sharing, Wanda.
You're welcome.
Mhm. All right. Did everybody have a chance to go?
This is Angelica. I haven't had a chance to go, but we're in the middle of dinner, so if you hear my kids in the background, I apologize. Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you great.
Yes,
Are
we
y'all able to
can.
hear me?
Yes, you have a really good
I can
connection.
hear you.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. So I've visited around 7 or 8 states. I would say my favorite is going to be Colorado. I love the cold and I love the snow. I live in Texas and I completely hate it because we only have one season here, hot and hotter. And it feels like summertime all year round. So I love to be where it's cold. I would love to travel to Alaska to go and visit or even live there. But of the states that I've visited, Colorado is my favorite.
Got two Coloradians that love it there. Nice. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else? All right. Not hearing anyone else. I'm gonna continue on. Um, Module 3 review. I just want to take a minute to talk about the Module 3. I really did enjoy reading all of your guys' assignments on the paradigm shift. I do really appreciate that you guys reflected on the history of developmental theories as well as your own personal experiences. It's just really interesting to look back in our own lifetimes and see how discipline and guidance has changed us both in the home and in the classroom. So I just want to say thank you guys all for sharing your experiences. Um, with saying that, what really stood out to you guys the most in Module 3, and why? And if you are reviewing this recording, please answer all the questions that I ask in this live session, including this one, in paragraph form.
I can go first, I guess. The one thing that stood out to me the most was just reflecting back on some of those theories from some of the um, the people there, and kind of made me think back from when I first started into early childhood education, and after just really looking at the um, and considering how they have really taken a part in what's going on now, it was really an eye opener for me of how they've really helped shape the early childhood education, and then just understanding the the true meaning of guidance. Just understand that guidance isn't just, hey, you do this, you do that, and you go there, you do this. It is really actually taking the time out and directing that child, helping that child understand, learn, and develop. mentally, physically, and emotionally. So I thought that was good.
Perfect. Thanks, Amy, for sharing. I appreciate your insights.
I can answer. Can you hear
I
me?
also felt, oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yep, I could hear you fine.
So I was going to say, to me, I feel like when they talked about going from discipline back in the day to guidance now, it actually showed the study, what not the study, but it actually showed basically teaching everybody that you should actually have respect for children and how you guide. The discipline to me is really not respecting a child, and guidance is more respecting them. And I see the whole act as more going to, going from, not treating them with respect to treating them with respect. And that I think came from actions that we did based on Amy was saying, the early childhood theorists that were there. But just, I wrote that in my paper too, that I felt like even when I was growing up, I didn't really get that as a child. I was more punished. And like my daughter is guided because I didn't appreciate being disciplined as a child and not being explained, not being talked to, not having my opinion counted as anything. And so I completely do that differently with my daughter. And that's kind of what I feel the whole guidance versus discipline was all about. And that's what stood out to me a lot in just the reading that I did.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That's well put. Yeah.
Thank you.
Really, yeah, it's interesting. Like even my generation of growing up, discipline for me was a spanking. Nowadays, working in the field for several years, that is not best practice. Disciplining by physical punishment or even emotional punishment, we know that's not best practice, nor is it effective. So it's kind of difference. Yeah, the shift from even 25, 30 years ago till now, it's different.
It is different. And I
think
feel,
too, like, oh, go ahead.
go ahead, Tiffany, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to try to add that growing up, I mean, obedience was expected, and if you didn't obey and do what you were told, you were punished. Whereas I feel like now we give our children the tools to make good decisions, and we're more about modeling that good behavior. It was almost like expected of you as a child, regardless. There was often, I feel like, at least at home for me growing up, because I wasn't in childcare as a child, but that expectation was, parents or adults could do something, children have to do it differently. Like, oh, I'm an adult, so I shouldn't say this, but you're a child, you so shouldn't. But I think the focus in childcare on modeling and showing them how to treat each other, and I think that's been a huge shift from what I remember growing up to the now.
Yeah, but I also feel like now we give children a chance to kind of quote unquote have their own say in the guidance, like they can give their opinion and speak, like I do that in the classroom too. And I'll say, well, what do you think? How do you think we could do this better? Or what would you do next time? And the same as I do it as a parent too. And my daughter always has a chance to voice her opinion. Obviously, ultimately, it's probably, the adult who's going to make the final decision, but I wasn't allowed to voice my opinions when I was growing up. So I feel like that's a big shift too that's happened over the last couple of decades as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I just want to agree. What stood out was the guidance. This is Wanda. The guidance and the discipline, the difference in guidance. I really do understand the difference now because you can clearly see discipline. When you say discipline, is punishment comes behind that word to me. So I feel that, if you guide a child in moral, appropriate behavior, you won't have to discipline a child. So that's what stood out for me. And I kind of got a little lost over the holidays So I thought I turned in my other assignment and I didn't. So I apologize for that. But and I see I couldn't turn it in. So I'm okay though with it. So that's what I got out of it.
Thanks for sharing.
I think the biggest change that I've seen from when I grew up to now is when I was a child, we were seen but not heard. And a lot of times it was just a power over being the adult. We were, you could totally tell who was in control, and we weren't guided to make the right decision. It was more of a control of what the adult wanted us to do, and we were going to do it the way they wanted us to do it, no matter what, regardless of the outcome of it. And there was no learning involved, so we didn't take anything away from it. For instance, if we were, running or we were standing up in a chair, we were just shouted at no. Whereas now, you shout a child, no, no what? No, don't stand here. No, don't turn around. No, don't close my eyes. We guide them to help them to understand why it is that we're asking them to do something. So I think that's changed now, where we actually have respect and understand that we need to respect a child. And we're not an authority figure. We are there as teachers to guide them and to help them to understand, and work through their behavioral challenges.
One of the things as a child that I used to hear is get out of grown folks' business. And I never understood that as a child until I started saying it myself to my children. And I'm like, mind your business, grown folks' business. So, like I said, right now we are actually guiding the children. We're not just saying, go sit down. Give them a reason why you're asking them to sit down, and that's guiding children.
That Wanda, I don't know if it's me, but I'm having a hard time trying to hear you.
Hi, how
It
are
could be
you?
me.
Can you hear me?
Hello, no, it's me, but I could hear you, Sandra. Yes, I
Hi,
could
how
hear
are you?
you.
Sorry, I had some trouble connecting. But I agree with everybody. I just want to share something that I read on the research that I did about this topic, and it's that of course society was different years ago. So the way that they were using discipline was like a punishment. Right now, our society is different, and also in the past, like I said, some session before, we used to go outside and play. Now kids are constantly in front of a screen, playing video games, watching videos, so it's different. So right now, it's more about guiding and modeling what we expect them to do.
Yeah, you're definitely right, Sandra. Um, with the abundance of online learning platforms and just different things that um children have now access to these days, a lot more technology, a lot more not going outside and playing and learning how to build those relationships with others. It also you look at the obesity rate too across America, and some of that has to do too with technology and just the fast pace of life as well, and not actually giving those children the opportunities to play and have that physical activity as well. All right. Does anybody else have anything else to add? All right. Um,
Yes, sorry, I wanted to add something else.
oh,
I'm in Miami, and of course here I'm in the middle of a lot of Latin people, and they still use discipline as a punishment way. I guess it's part of culture too.
because I hear a lot of parents still talking about whooping their kids or things like that if they don't follow directions, for example. And as teachers, we might do a lot of things in the classroom, but of course, we can't control what happens at home.
That's another good point, Sandra. You know, culturally speaking, we can't really control what's at home. But you know, we can control what's in the classroom, and I think that, you know, being positive and like, I can't remember who said that, but when you say like you can't do something, instead of just saying no, explaining why why it is that you can't do something, and making it a teachable moment for the child so they actually get something out of the conversation is really key. So yeah. I am going to move on. Thought that was a pretty good conversation with the educational setting. So there are several factors to consider in the educational setting. You first look at health and safety should always be the first priority. This includes making sure toys are age appropriate, furniture is stable and secure, and a routine for sanitation is in place. The next thing you want to really consider is the placement of the learning centers. You really want to make sure that you use space that is supportive of the environment that you're trying to create. And what I mean by this, like, I guess for an example, would be like a quiet library area should be placed in an area of the classroom that is naturally going to be quieter, such as near manipulatives or puzzle centers. You know, placing a quiet space near the door to the classroom or the building blocks center may not really be as conducive to a quiet and relaxing space. You know, definition of space is really important, really to create the clear boundaries and define those centers. Uh, Furniture such as shelving or large dramatic play pieces can be used to make clearly defined centers that are really physically divided from the other centers. The placement of furniture can also integrate smart storage of materials. Um, an example of that would be a shelf, you know, maybe containing art supplies, or could double as a divider for the art and the building block centers. The amount of materials available for students at each center should be really considered. Um, Too many options can also be overwhelming for students as well. While if you have too few, may create boredom. So, you know, the amount of space in the classroom should be really factored into how many centers are available. There should be enough centers for the children to choose from, while also making sure that enough space is provided at each center. And if not all the centers can fit in the classroom easily, then the centers could be rotated maybe every few weeks to create a variety of not overcrowding the classroom. You could also change out toys or manipulatives. Sensory needs should also be considered. This area really can be easily overlooked, but it is key to children being able to focus in the classroom. Too much noise may easily distract children. Bright lights, empty white walls make the environment feel really unwelcoming and kind of sterile. But lastly, you know, it's really just really important to be flexible and willing to make those changes as needed along the way. I know as educators, sometimes we get really caught up and we don't get to do that as often as we like. And then that's when we see those behaviors happening. So I would just kind of wanted to turn it over of like, what factors do you actually look in the classroom? um, Share an area of something like for your educational setting that you feel works well for an area where you can use maybe some ideas to improve. Um, so yeah, just share an area of your educational setting that you feel um, would work well. You feel works well, or an area that you would like some ideas to improve, and maybe we could discuss that around that topic. So, what do you guys use in your centers? What works well for you? What doesn't work well?
One of the things that we use in our center that works well, we have empty dead space under our teacher desk, and the teachers really don't utilize that area unless the kids are sleeping, because it puts them in a position where their bodies are turned and their backs are to the children. So what we've done in the bottom of that area is we've actually turned it into a cozy space so that the children can utilize a space when they need to be off by themselves. Some children just don't like the overwhelming, chaos of the classroom sometimes, so they have an area to retreat under or two. So what we've done is we've added like pillows and like comfy mats and stuff for them to go retreat underneath there. We put some puppets. Sometimes we'll change it out. We'll put books. And so that works really well in that area, since it's kind of an empty space in the classroom. It gives the children an area where they can go off to if they need their own alone time or their own space.
That's perfect. Thanks for sharing, Angelica. It's a great idea.
Um, I want to share something. I told you before, I was in the little ones, 3 years old class, and I had this issue with the little ones, so they moved me to the second grade, with the second grade teacher. So in her classroom, she tries to keep centers, and next to center, she has a sensory center. And it's amazing how, even though these kids are 7 to 8, they enjoy very much the sensory area. She has a special kid in the class, and when he acts out, he goes to the sensory area and it works super good with him.
Yeah, some children that struggle with sensory processing issues, um, teachers like to use that information when they find out that, and it seems to work well with kids that have some sensory issues. Uh, does calm them down.
We definitely do the same at our center with the bookshelves and stuff that section off the different centers, because it's just a one huge room. And so a lot of our bookshelves have wheels, which I know can sometimes be annoying. It does move occasionally, but it's nice because you can change up that environment. So it becomes a new and exciting space for the children periodically throughout the year. Typically, it's like after breaks, they'll come back and we'll have the rooms sort of rearranged, or the other teachers will. Gives them like a perspective, and it keeps it interesting and fun. And so it helps. Like, I just think that the wheels make it so much easier.
Yes, that's always nice to have wheels.
I would like to share. Um, I, we have in my school, what we usually do at the beginning of the year, we'll go in with one theme, um, and we'll decorate the rooms in those different themes. One of the rooms we have the what it is, the rockets and the astronauts and the in one area in his room his name is Mr. Seeger. In one area in his room, he have what these stars that lights up. So we that's his sensory area. In that area, he has things like the water bottles with the stuff in it that where you shake, and they use that bottle to tell them, sometimes if you're too jumpy or you too, you're shaking up your brain. So then he'll do this meditation thing with them, and they're meditating and they're bringing they're calming themselves down. So we have an area over there where those stars, and they can kind of mellow themselves out, and it's just such a cool area. That's one of the things that I like about that room. But we do change it up like every 6 months, so the children can have something different and don't get bored with just seeing one thing.
Yeah, that's very unique. Thanks for sharing, Wanda. Anyone else?
So I think maybe it was Angelica who said that they use the space under the teacher desk for like a cozy, quiet area. So we actually do that too, but the classrooms do it, but they actually change it out. So like 1 month they might do that, and then the next month they turned it into like a little baby nursery. So the kids could kind of go in there and put the babies to sleep. And then the next month they put in like a little tiny table so that two little kids could go in together and kind of do puzzles for themselves. And that might have been what Wanda was talking about. I'm sorry, Wanda, I couldn't really hear you. So maybe you said that, I don't know. But so we rotate it out, but under that space. So it can't be more than like two children. So they get a chance to really do like some one-on-one with each other. And we found the kids really, really enjoy that. And they like the rotation of activities under that space.
Yeah, I bet you they think that's like a cool thing.
Oh, they love it. Especially the pre-K kids. They think it's like the best thing ever. They love it. Yeah.
And I suppose when you change out your activities too, it just makes it always engaging and interesting too.
Yeah, they really enjoy that. They love it.
Anyone else want to share? All right. If you are viewing this online for this recording, please share an area of your educational setting that you feel works well or an area where you could use some ideas to improve. So the next thing I want to talk about, and the last thing of the night, I always try to end almost off at the end with what you guys are going to be doing for your assignment. It's usually pretty straightforward, but I always like to go over it. So just wanted to talk a minute or two about this. So this is actually one of my favorite assignments. Um, Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to choose an age group to create a classroom for, and then you want to create a visual example of the classroom. There is a link in the instructions to a website you can use to create a floor plan. But you can choose to use other formats to create your own, to create your format. Um, so basically, what you will need to include would be cubbies for personal belongings, art, puzzles, dramatic play, block area, reading library area, sand and water, manipulative area for eating, area for large group learning, and then a calming center, like I think a couple of you guys were talking about. Um, so basically, you will need to include all those necessary furniture in your floor plan. And then after you guys create the visual floor plan, you'll just write a 1 to 2 page paper that explains the importance of the physical environment. Um, Basically, how developmentally appropriate practices, child development and knowledge, and the piles impact the arrangement of the educational setting. The reason behind the placement of centers and activity areas, the influence of the temporal environment on your design, how the arrangement decreases inappropriate behavior. So basically, your written portion of the assignment, like usual, should be in APA format and include two references. Depending on the application you use to create the visual floor plan, you may be submitting two separate documents for your assignment, which is fine with me. So that is kind of an overview of your guys' assignment for this upcoming week. Does anybody have any questions on this or on anything that was covered tonight?
I don't really have a question, but I wanted to just add something. There's a link in the assignment for something called Classroom Architect. I don't know if anybody else has tried it, but I cannot get that to work. So it does give other options to try. And I just wanted to tell everybody that I actually found like another online platform to use to design my classroom. So if anybody's wants to know what it is, I can tell them. Or I actually also want to know if anybody else had trouble with that site, or if anybody got it to actually work, because I cannot.
Mishi, what browser are you using when you're
So I tried Chrome and I tried Firefox. I tried both.
you
And
did try both?
neither one has worked.
Interesting. Let me check it out tonight to see if I could get it going. Sometimes there are technical difficulties when they sometimes whoever does these actual links to these resources for the assignments, which is
Yeah.
actually not me, sometimes forgets to miss a step and then the link is broken. So let me look at it tonight. And in the meantime, can you share that reference with the rest of your peers on, I think there is one of the I'm drawing a blank right now. It's the discussion. It's like not the discussion forum, but it's in the discussion area.
Yeah, I think the student lounge
Class
or something.
messages. I think it's
Yeah,
class messages or
Yeah.
something like that.
yeah. So
Yeah.
everybody could see what you wrote or what you have. So I think that would be
Yeah.
a good opportunity to.
I mean, so I did like a Google search for like classroom design, and then I looked at several things, and the one that I found for me, at least, that was the easiest to work with. So Kaplan is like, that childhood company that they make toys and furniture and stuff like that for childcare centers. They have an online classroom design thing that you can use for free. And you can design the whole classroom, like add in the shelves, add in the toys, add in the furniture, add in everything. And I like designed my whole classroom just using that on the online, and then I was able to download it to my computer. The only thing you cannot do on there is you cannot add in any text. I don't know if Classroom Architect does that, so I actually had to use like another platform to add text into like to label all of my learning centers. So it just became like a 2 or 3 step process because I couldn't get that other one to work. So that's what I used.
I'm sorry. I was able to get it to work, but I wasn't able to get it to download, so I had to screenshot it into my computer.
Oh,
Other
okay.
than that, I didn't have any problem. It opened up and it worked. And it's just to trying to get it to download. It won't do that, so you have to screenshot it.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, yeah, I could not get it to work at all. So anyway, I just want to tell everybody in case anyone had the same issue as I did.
Yeah, I'll definitely still look at it to see if there's any glitches on my end. And then if you guys don't hear anything from me via course announcements, then it should be fine. But if you do hear something from me, that means that obviously there's something that was fixed or is getting fixed. And then for some odd reason, this week, if If you have to turn an assignment late because of this issue, please let me know right away. So I could document that and ensure that you guys don't lose points because of a glitch that was on Rasmussen's uh, on Rasmussen. So just yeah, let me know if there is something like that, and then we'll get this figured out. Does anybody have any questions? Any other questions?
I don't.
Go ahead, Wanda, or you don't.
I don't have any questions. I don't.
Oh, okay. All right. Perfect. Um, all right. Well, that concludes our fourth live session. We will have our last one next Thursday at 5:30 Central Standard Time. Um, and guys, please make sure if you have any questions between now and then to always reach out. If you are in this live session, please just sign off in the chat box so you guys could get full credit for this live session and nothing else will be required of you for getting points for this extremely easy assignment. So yeah, if anybody doesn't have any questions, have a good night, ladies.
Michael, I do have one question. I still cannot find where to type in my name in that chat box. So what do you do about that?
I know that you were here, Wanda. Um, yeah, sometimes there's technical difficulties. So, but yep, don't worry, I got you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Good night.
Have a good night.